Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down the exact moment the sport fundamentally mutated. We're talking unprecedented scale, massive rule changes, and historic victories from the 2026 FIFA World Cup. By digging right into the official tournament data, we'll see exactly how this competition redefined what a global sporting event can actually look like. Here's our game plan for today. 1. A tournament of firsts. 2. Rewriting the rulebook. 3. Spain's historic victory. And 4. Hardware and honors. Let's dive in. Section 1. A tournament of firsts, expanding the global stage. We have to start with the sheer logistical expansion of 2026, because everything about this event was absolutely supersized. For the first time ever, 3 nations, the United States, Mexico, and Canada, shared hosting duties across 16 different cities. To put that into perspective, Mexico made history by becoming the very first country to host the World Cup 3 times, since they also hosted back in 1970 and 1986. Meanwhile, this was the U.S.'s second time hosting since '94, and Canada's very first time welcoming the men's tournament. Now that massive geographical footprint, well, it was entirely necessary to house an equally massive expansion on the pitch. The traditional 32-squad field got bumped up to 48 teams, divided into 12 groups. It was a hugely debated move for sure. The whole idea was to bring more countries to the world stage, which meant teams like Cape Verde, Curaçao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan got to make their highly anticipated tournament debuts. Of course, more teams means more matches. To accommodate these extra 16 squads and a brand new round of 32 in the knockout stage, the schedule swelled to 104 total matches over a grueling 39-day period. That is a very noticeable jump from the 32-day tournaments we saw in 2014 and 2018. It required an unbelievable logistical effort, dividing host cities into Western, Central, and Eastern regions. But even with all that meticulous planning, the immense travel and condensed schedule took a very real physical toll on the players. When you compare the old format side by side with 2026, the leap in scale is literally staggering. Going from 64 matches up to 104 is a massive jump in inventory. And you know what? The fans responded in a huge way. The expanded format brought in a record-breaking attendance of over 6.8 million fans. We're talking an average of over 65,000 people per match, completely shattering the previous overall attendance record that had stood since 1994. Which brings us to Section 2, rewriting the rulebook, the war on time wasting. So, to keep up the pace of play with this massive scale, FIFA knew they had to address a growing problem in the sport. They instituted some incredibly aggressive new on-field rules. Basically, they declared war on time wasting. Check this out. If a substituted player didn't leave the pitch within 10 seconds, their replacement had to wait a full minute to enter the game. Referees literally started giving visual 5-second countdowns for throw-ins and goal kicks. Take too long on a goal kick? The other team gets a corner kick. They also instituted a 1-minute waiting period for players receiving medical treatment. And to clean up unsporting behavior, if a player covered their mouth with their hand or shirt to hide an insult from lip readers, instant red card. Plus, they expanded VAR to overturn corner kicks and attacking fouls. But with all these strict countdowns, mandatory medical waiting periods, and expanded video reviews in place, we really have to ask the ultimate question. Did these aggressive new rules actually work, or did they just create a bunch of extra stoppages? Well, the statistics point to a resounding yes. Across those 104 matches, a total of 308 goals were scored. That means the average number of goals spiked to 2.96 per match. That is the highest scoring average we have seen since the 1970 tournament. By punishing time wasting so severely, the ball just stayed in play longer, and the attackers absolutely thrived. Section 3. Spain's historic victory, a campaign of control and composure. That high-scoring environment set an incredible stage for the world's best, so let's shift gears to the team that navigated this sprawling, grueling tournament and conquered it all, Spain. After a month of intense play, the final went down on July 19th at the New York-New Jersey Stadium. In a fiercely contested match, Spain actually dethroned the defending champions Argentina with a monumental 1-0 extra-time victory. This secured Spain their second men's title and their very first since their famous run back in 2010. But what you really need to take away from this is the historic context. With this victory, Spain became the first nation in the history of the sport to hold both the men's and women's World Cup titles at the exact same time. It's just a massive testament to the country's absolute global dominance in youth development, tactical identity, and execution on the world stage. Honestly, it's an achievement we might never see replicated in our lifetimes. The real secret to this historic run? Absolute, impenetrable defensive mastery. Think about it. In a tournament that saw the highest goal-scoring average in over 50 years, Spain was a complete brick wall. They became the first team to ever win the World Cup while conceding only a single goal throughout the entire tournament. It perfectly proves the old saying, goals win games, but a defense that gives up just one goal in a whole month, that wins championships. Finally, Section 4, Hardware and Honors, Medals, Trophies, and a New Tradition. To cap off this explainer, we've got to look at the tangible rewards handed out to the standout performers, because 2026 introduced something totally unprecedented. But first, the traditional individual hardware. Unsurprisingly, the Spanish roster predictably swept the primary awards. Rodri was masterful in the midfield and took home the Golden Ball as the best overall player. Unai Simon won the Golden Glove after racking up 7 clean sheets, and Pau Cabrisi took home the Best Young Player award for anchoring that historic defense. The Golden Boot, however, went to the captain of the 4th-place finishing team. Yep, even amidst Spain's total dominance, France's Kylian Mbappe delivered an absolutely astonishing 10-goal masterclass in just 8 matches. This wild performance didn't just earn him back-to-back Golden Boots, it actually elevated him to become the all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup history. So even though he didn't take home the team trophy, his individual brilliance left an indelible mark on the 2026 tournament. But okay, the ultimate hardware reveal wasn't a boot, and it wasn't a ball. It was the introduction of a highly recognizable American sporting tradition right into global football, the championship ring. For the first time in FIFA history, the tournament winners were awarded bespoke, custom-fitted championship rings right alongside the iconic trophy and gold medals. These new pieces of history were incredibly exclusive. Only 2,026 rings were produced in total, obviously as a direct nod to the year. A tiny sliver of just 30 custom-fitted rings featuring the World Cup trophy on one side and the winning team's identity on the other were completely reserved for Spain's victorious squad. The remaining 1,996 rings, those were made available to fans worldwide as an official licensed product, complete with certificates of authenticity. So, as we wrap up this explainer, we're left looking at a drastically transformed landscape. We just witnessed a tournament defined by massive firsts, from crossing borders across 3 huge North American nations, to fundamentally reshaping how players behave on the pitch, to crowning a uniquely dominant dual-gender champion in Spain. With a massive 48-team expansion, dramatic anti-wasting rules, and American-style championship rings, what traditions will the beautiful game rewrite next? Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive into the 2026 World Cup. Catch you next time.